And welcome everybody to another Cosmology segment. We're going to start things out talking about the smAsho.com/forum. Let me turn that down additionally. It's the smAsho.com/forum. There is a cosmology forum there, and we are talking about the most. And we've included various cosmic objects in here, starting out with Cygnus A, massive radio galaxy, otherwise known as 3C405, which will kind of become our mascot. We'll tell you about it in a minute. Secondly, most massive object in the solar system, the Sun. And third, we are now on Jupiter. We're doing at least a video to touch on the most. So, most massive planet in the solar system, everybody knows Jupiter. We won't get into Jupiter too much at the moment. One thing to note about Jupiter is that if you could see its magnetic field, it would be the size of the moon. So, something to keep in mind about planets, folks, is that planets aren't just rocky bodies or gas giants. They're also their magnetic field, as that is part of their essential nature. Let's talk about the smAsho mission. And I'm not going to read it, I'm just going to scroll it. And this is part of the reason why we do these cosmology segments, folks, because we are watching the watchers to some extent. And we'll explain what we're talking about in a moment. Now, we regularly look at transients, and this is why we have the Neil Gorell Swift Observatory link always below our videos, as we are interested in the transients as much as the next X-ray monitor. And in upcoming videos about the most, we'll talk about the Crab Pulsar. Yes, there are the current transients from the Crab Pulsar. These things are monitored all the time. And there's what the Crab Pulsar looks like in radio. And the other side is, I believe, visible light. The Crab Pulsar, an interesting object and a source of X-ray calibration. By the way, what we're listening to right now is soundclick.com/goldencatproductions. This one's called Figurine 2010. One of the newer tracks up there, but there are some even newer than that. And so perhaps check that out if you enjoy the music. This one was created kind of for gaming videos. And so there's a variety of different types of music located there. So check that out if you haven't checked it out before. And I'm clicking on stuff by accident here. Soundclick.com/goldencatproductions. Links are in the description below the video. Now again, we talk about Cygnus A, massive radio galaxy, which is the second strongest source of radio frequencies in the universe, at least from Earth's perspective, and we will indeed have the shirt coming soon. Now let's talk about yesterday's Suspicious Observers video. Shout out to Ben Davidson. Now, a little bit on Valentina Zarkova. Valentina Zarkova posted some very interesting and widely acclaimed nonsense in the past couple of years, and she's being debunked heavily. Now, for those of you who've watched our channel for a long time, you notice that I was never quoting Zarkova, because Zarkova was looking at one tiny aspect of solar behavior, solar activity, just the total solar irradiance, the TSI numbers, and that's nonsense. Everybody that understands anything about the way the sun works knows it's all about the solar polar magnetic fields. However, there are lots and lots of other variables, and our historic knowledge of the way the sun works is extremely lacking. So let me just play a small clip from yesterday's Suspicious Observers video. Take it away, Ben Davidson.
It and its crazy author, and indeed saw the paper as hurting the cause rather than helping it. Well, by now I'm sure some of you have guessed that this was Zarkova's paper from last year.
Anyway, if you haven't watched that Suspicious O's video, have a watch. And it's just on the Suspicious Observer. It's the second newest video on the Suspicious Observers page. There are the videos. It's called Space Water Fountain, Mars Life, Solar Zarkophale. So, shout out to Ben. Nicely done there. Yeah, Zarkova. Didn't believe her then. Don't believe her now. Next, we'll cover briefly on Galaxy MKN 938. And this is an interesting one as it has some collimated sodium jets. And one of the many things that causes some issues here, we see a disparity of nearly 5,000 kilometers per second between the estimated blue shift of the galaxy itself and the D spectra, the D band spectra emissions of sodium. So it's interesting as we see this collimation of a specific chemical element going on in the central region. It looks like a jet, so a sodium jet there. That salty galaxy, MKN 938. Next, we're going to talk about this epic image, which looks exactly like the Thunderbolts of the gods, W43A. And we're actually in Photoshop here. This is not something I usually do because I find it to be just a little bit hacky, yeah? Anyway, I'm going to mess with the brightness and contrast a little bit with this, just to give you an idea of how much chemical separation is going on in this one, apparently. We see some very interesting absorption and emission spectra. And this is all taken through radio interferometry. We also see a very straight line, probably polar jets. And the way they're starting to probably rotate out here as a result of things like the Hall effect. So those are very interesting protonic jets there, shown in blue. And there's also a bunch of water coming out of the system, indicating that the jets are probably performing fusion within the jets. And while doing hacky things on internet videos about cosmic objects might not be something our channel does very often, here is an actual benefit for once. Check it out. If you turn up the saturation, you get some insight into the mixing that's going on there. I've lost my control. Here we go. So if you turn the saturation up and down, you can actually see the mixture points. And those pinks are the red and the blue coming together, obviously. So that's a bit interesting, as again, it does give us some insight. And you can actually turn the lightness down a little bit to sort of see structures that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see. And no, you're not going to hear me say the B word or the P word. Please leave a comment if you know what the B word and P word even are. By the way, while that image is magical, plasma is not. Now, the Japanese team that discovered this, that imaged it rather, using the Atacama, very, very large ALMA array, they've calculated that these jets are moving as fast as 175 kilometers per second, which is on the scale of a solar wind type speed. They're estimating that they're only 60 years old, so we'll be interested in watching this object in the future. W43A And if you're wondering how fast that is, it's about 391,000 miles per hour. Pretty quick jets. And again, we are seeing some water all around these jets, indicating that the water is coming out of the jets. And I'll be interested to see more spectrographic information about this particular object, as we'll be interested to see if we see Markland convection or if we see no such thing, once again, when we look at cosmology. There's a galactic traffic jam going on in a galaxy 60 million light years away, and probably in a galaxy near you. And what this means is that the outflowing stellar wind from the galactic core gets slowed down by all of the dust. So in the same way that the dust in between you and Sagittarius A star, the core of the Milky Way galaxy, is slowed down, stopped, refracted, and energized by the outcoming stellar wind, same is the case in galaxy NGC 3887, a galaxy discovered all the way back in 1785 on New Year's Eve by William Herschel. And this is part of the reason why Sagittarius A star is not to blame for the catastrophe cycle on Earth, as the influence of the core of our galaxy is expressed through the spiral arms, not in spite of them. And I'll just leave that there for everybody to conjecture and freak out and tell me that Ben Davidson said I'm wrong. And, well, we'll get into it later. Not Ben and me explaining what I mean. So please remind me, viewers, let's talk about the Space Force. Were you aware that the Space Force has only one employee? Well, it's true, and he's acting all mysterioso. Space Force Commander General John Raymond deferred many questions from the House of Representatives to a private setting, as there are lots of security concerns. And hey, India, don't try to shoot down any of our satellites. We will be pissed. Betelgeuse is likely dimming just because of dust, something that I said about a week after the story broke. Please leave a comment if you heard me say that it might just be dust, which is totally not a reason to really even make it news. But it does reinforce the fact that space is not empty. And while I don't necessarily believe that there is an ether, although some theories do favor ether, you don't need magical stuff that's invisible to explain most of cosmology. Part of the reason that we think we know the mass of things like Betelgeuse and Sirius A and VY Canis Majoris and things like this is because of the solar model, and this is part of the reason why we are stoked that things are getting better. Here's an artist's rendition using solar granulae to make it look like what a red supergiant might look like up close. And again, I've said it once before, I'll say it probably over and over again, actually. I've said it many times before, in fact. All stars are variable stars, and if you want to study them, perhaps check out the American Association of Variable Star Observers. I've joined. Check out the greeting. Hello, American Association of Variable Star Observers. What are variables, every star in the universe? Why do we observe them? Because they're interesting, they're calling out to us and trying to inform us the way nature works. Are you familiar with our coronavirus compendium? It's now in the 9th page, and we've updated it once again today about why hand washing beats hand sanitizers, and about how to wash your hands, and about common cold prevention, because that's what the coronavirus amounts to. And one other thing about coronavirus, folks. I'm not trying to downplay how dangerous coronavirus is. However, if you watch any viral vector, you will make it look spookier and spookier. The common cold can kill you if you have a depleted immune system, if you're like a leukemia patient who's under chemotherapy or whatever the current therapy is for leukemia. You know, small viruses can cause big effects on sick people. And the reason why washing your hands is better than hand sanitizer is because hand sanitizer is expensive, and I'm not kidding. Here are some fairly recent screenshots asking $579 for a 6-pack of 8-ounce Germex, or how about $99.99 for a 2-pack for 1 pound, 2 8-ounce pumps of Purell. Stop with the freaking hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is for people that don't have access to sinks. People like medical personnel and factory personnel and stuff like that. Lab personnel. I work in a lab, I know. I've worked in a hospital, I know about that too. Wash your hands, it takes 20 seconds. Rinse them with warm water completely. Rub soap all around your knuckles, your fingertips, between your fingers, on the back of your hands, and then rinse them with warm water. Maybe even warmer water, as that opens up your pores, and the soap makes your skin slippery so that things you don't want on it slough off. If your hands are ever visibly dirty, hand sanitizer is not a solution for that. The medical guidelines for hospital personnel are if you don't have access to a sink and you get something on your hands and you want to sanitize them, use sanitizer. If they're visibly soiled, hand sanitizer is never acceptable. So stop with the hand sanitizer. Also, surgical masks don't protect you from coronavirus. They protect others if you have coronavirus. Don't be a pearl-clutching pussy. Follow us on alternative social media. If you're viewing this one on YouTube, nah, we don't think you're a pearl-clutching pussy, although you might be. And thanks, Smash Team, for tuning in. Stay tuned for our Survey Said section. So let's do this. Google has the ability to silence us. Survey said? All right, I'm going to get one right one of these days. Google is super proactive and doesn't just cater to whoever the apparently more powerful political party is in the country which they're sending you ads. Survey said? Oh, the suspense is killing me. All right, let's try one more. We're going to get one right. We're going to get one right. Google favors Republicans in the U.S. 2020 presidential election. Survey said? Oh, geez. If you go to a different country, Google might favor the right wing or the left wing or whoever they think is going to get them more ad dollars. Survey said? Wait a minute.
But resist.
Perhaps Al Sharpton stated it the best when he said,
But resist we much. We must and we will much about that be committed.
Did you get that?
That.
Just to rephrase, resist we much, we must, and we will much about that be committed. Resist we much, we must, and we will much about that be committed. Here's your final bonus feature. It's the local yellow dwarf. The Rosetta Stone for Cosmology and 335 angstroms. Have you seen the sunspot that's appeared today? Does it have a name yet? Are you freaking out going, oh my God! Yeah, me neither. In any case, thanks for tuning in. Look for more content coming soon.